Yo, what's up? Noah Kane from Noah Kane Consulting here. Just want to walk you through this case study of how we helped an ecom brand increase organic revenue from 16 to 20K-ish a month to around 36 to 56K a month in 9 months using just SEO. So let's just hop on in. Here's a screenshot here from Google Analytics. You can see we're just looking at organic search here, and from March of 2022 through January 31st of 2023. And you can kind of see where they started here around 20K, dipping a little below there. And then pretty quickly, we're moving past 20K, a few months in, moving into the 30s, and then, 6, 7, 8, 9 months out, well into 30, 40K territory. And then obviously hitting that 56K a month mark in January. So with this case study, we're going to focus on a few items that helped us have success with this brand and with this campaign. That's going to be finding those quick SEO wins, balancing SEO tasks, and also focusing on buying intent keywords. These are 3 things that if you prioritize this with your SEO and with your SEO campaigns, you're going to have a ton of success, hopefully similar success to this client of ours. So let's dive into quick SEO wins. So before you go off buying backlinks, creating content, really doing anything, you really want to run an SEO audit, okay? The overall goal of this audit is finding these quick SEO wins. And why do I keep saying that word quick SEO wins? Well, the reason is that you've probably heard consultants say, I've said it, SEO takes 6 to 12 months. Totally true, right? If you want to beat your competition, you're playing catch up, right? If you haven't been investing, it's going to take time, right? So SEO is not going to happen overnight. But that doesn't mean you can't see positive results, changes, improvements, et cetera, happen within the first 1 to 3 months, all right? But the only way you're going to do that is doing a proper audit, finding those quick wins so you can take action right away and start seeing things head in the right direction. The SEO components that take the most time to impact your rankings are fresh content and new backlinks, right? We're going to start doing that right away on a new campaign, but that's why SEO takes 6 to 12 months to really have those big effects, because those 2 pieces of the puzzle take time to impact your site, right? It's going to take time for content to index. It's going to take time for backlinks to influence your authority and help you rank higher, right? Those things don't flip the switch. But those are only 2/3 of the SEO pie. The other third is made up of technical and on-page SEO opportunities, right? Which when you address those quickly, you can see almost immediate improvements overnight in some cases, right? And as an example, imagine if this might sound crazy, okay, but I've seen this happen before, where an entire website could be set to no index on Google, meaning it's telling Google, don't crawl this site, even though the person wants it crawled. That sounds unlikely, but I've seen it happen before, right? And you'd be amazed at things like that show up on a site or can be fixed with just a few quick changes that will improve how well Google can show your website, how well you rank, et cetera, right? So those are the things we are looking for. Now that's an extreme example, but there are other things we look for as well, which we'll get to in a second. Finding these quick SEO wins is also crucial for actually getting those bigger wins in 6 to 12 months, okay? And that's because the content and backlinks we mentioned a minute ago, right, that take longer to impact your site, if there is a glaring technical or on-page issue that's holding you back, those links and that new content will not have as much power or maybe any impact if those items are not addressed early on, right? So you need to address these technical things first. Otherwise, it's just not going to matter. So going back to this Google Analytics screenshot at the top of the document, right? So they saw a pretty positive uptick in revenue within just a couple of months of working with this, right? They were kind of on a downtrend, and then we started popping up and kept rolling. Keep in mind here as well, I didn't even mention this earlier, they changed domains in the middle of this, and we helped them navigate that as well. So what are some quick wins we uncovered? There were some site speed issues. They had unoptimized meta titles and descriptions. There were some broken links, unnecessary 301 redirects, redirect chains where like too many redirects are happening and causes a bad user experience. In some cases, can send people to a broken page entirely. Crawl depth issues, which is when you have important pages and content that are more than a few clicks away from the homepage, right? They're really hard to find as a user, and also hard for Google to crawl. 404 errors, those are error pages you've probably seen before. You don't really want that experience for users. And then improperly implemented internal links. Internal backlinks are a great method for improving how your pages rank, but when they're not done correctly, they're not going to have an impact. So that's another thing we cleaned up. So many of those items I just listed, we were able to address almost immediately, within the first couple of months, a few weeks even. And while others required some coordination with the client's team, for example, they had a web development team they were already engaged with, so we coordinated with that team to get those site speed issues resolved. Either way, we were able to tackle these issues quickly and built some much needed momentum for this site. So the next item I want to talk about is often an under talked about aspect of doing SEO, which is actually balancing all the SEO tasks, right? It's one thing to know what to do. It's another to put it into action and to be organized about it. And especially when you're dealing with a site that has hundreds or thousands of pages, you need to be organized. You need to have an idea of what you've done, what you need to do, etc. So, here's a screenshot of what we call our technical SEO dashboard. It's a tool we use that after we run our initial audit, you can see these tabs down here for different items that we find. We basically, use this internally to keep track of when stuff's been completed, who it's been assigned to. Obviously, each of these tabs has different metrics and things we're worried about depending on the on-page or technical issue at hand. And so that's how we keep track of things, right? And the reason we do it this way is, our audit process runs through a couple dozen technical and on-page checks. There's a lot of stuff to manage, a lot of stuff to worry about. And you can easily get overwhelmed if you don't have a system for doing that. And so one thing we've used for a while is a Google Sheets system that helps us organize these different tasks into different tabs, and just lets us stay organized, right? So we always have a record of what's been completed, what's been assigned to who, what date were changes made, right? And the power of that, the date thing of when we actually did the work, is that we have a better understanding of what changes helped and hurt a given page or a given keyword when we keep track of this stuff in this way. Excuse me. Which is really helpful for when we want to see, all right, this worked really well. Let's do that again on a different page, right? Or in other cases, hey, we saw a little bit of a downtrend. Do we want to revert what we did, right? You can always test stuff out. Anyone who does SEO that says they've made a change that they've never made a change that has reduced traffic is lying to you, right? It's going to happen sometimes. So you want to be able to go back and undo stuff when you've made the wrong guess, right? Or made the wrong decision, I guess. So it's really essential to understand what has worked, what hasn't, what's been worked on, what's not. So that way you can stay organized for at least the initial run of the campaign and keep going in the right direction towards those big wins 6 to 12 months down the road. And the final thing we're going to talk about, this is probably the most important aspect of this case study, is focusing on buying intent keywords. So, I'm pretty confident if you own an e-commerce direct-to-consumer brand, you want people to buy your products, right? You want customers, clients, whoever you're working with, right, to buy your products. Your SEO campaign will not be successful if you do not dominate buying intent keywords. All right. When I say buying intent, what I mean is keywords that when someone goes to Google, it's very clear that they are going to Google to buy something. Okay. Now that might sound obvious, but many people have a narrow view of how people use Google, especially when they're thinking about their own business, right? You know that you sell stuff on your site, so you assume people are only there to buy from you, which could not be further from the truth. There are actually multiple types of searches people conduct on Google, and I'm sure when you take a second to think about that, that's going to make a lot of sense. But let's run through the sort of ways we break them down. So there are informational searches, right, where people are looking for very specific pieces of information, factual bits of information, right? So like, what year did Lincoln become president, right? That's just a piece of information, right? People look for that stuff. Navigational searches are when someone is looking to get to a certain website, go somewhere, right? How to log into Facebook would be an example, right? You might actually have something on your site if you have a customer portal or something like that, or a VIP section of your site or things like that, and you have enough people that ask that question. That might be a navigational search that matters to you. In most cases, a lot of e-com brands, DTC brands, don't have too many navigational searches, but you never know. Investigative searches. So this is where people are showing a little more interest in a topic that could lead them down a path to making a buying decision, right? So this is where they're searching for, all right, what types of products and services exist? What would the best type of those things be? What is the product to use for this certain situation or task, right? So they're just investigating, exactly how it sounds. They're trying to just understand more about what is available in the market that you serve. Then there are comparison searches, which is getting even closer to making a buying decision. So for example, someone who's car shopping might say, difference between a Ford F-150 and a Chevy Silverado. When searchers start making these searches, they're very close to making a buying decision, and they've narrowed down their choice to a few options, right? So they just want clarity on what the differences are and have an understanding of those differences so they can make an informed buying decision. And now we're down to buying intent searches. So these are searches where the only intent, right, is to buy. Someone who puts this in has a very, very, very high intent to buy, right? And in many cases, it can literally be where to buy blank, right? Whatever you sell, they are literally typing in the word buy. But one big issue with this understanding of buying intent searches is that a search does not need the word buy to have buying intent. I'm going to repeat that. A search with buying intent does not need to have the word buy or shop, okay, etc. Any sort of word that fits that space does not need to have that to have buying intent. So then how do we know when searches do and do not have buying intent? The truth is every niche is a bit different. People search for things differently depending on what it is. If you're buying some furniture, you're going to type in different language than if you're someone who's going to buy a sailboat, right? Those are two different people that understand, like every little niche has their own little bits of language, right? Every little community has their unique pieces of language. So it's going to be different depending on the niche. Fortunately, for us, right, when we're doing the thorough keyword research that we do, we gain an understanding of what language works and does not work, what has buying intent and what does not. The most direct way to gain clarity on if a keyword actually has buying intent is to actually type it into Google, which sounds so simple, but so many people don't do it. Let me give you a very good example. So here we have, we're comparing the keywords map of Maryland versus map print of Maryland. You'll notice there's just one word difference there, the word print, okay? So when you type map of Maryland into Google, and let's say you sold some sort of maps, right? You'll get a result that looks something like what we've screenshotted here, right? We have the Google Maps result. We have images from maps of Maryland, and you can see most of these not too, nothing that looks like you put on your wall. There's 2 images here that have the product tag, you can see, but only 2. We have these people also ask questions, and these are very informational oriented. What cities are in Maryland? What is Maryland known? Why is Maryland known as a free state, right? What is Maryland famous for? And then the actual organic results, map of the state of Maryland, Maryland map, right? A Maryland.gov, Maryland counties map, a GIS map. This is not buying intent, right? When someone types in map of Maryland, they are not looking to buy something, right? Google will show what people want, okay? On average, right? Most people who type this in are not looking to buy anything, all right? So let's go down now to, and I noted here, this basically has 0 buying intent, right? It really does. Like you would not want to rank for this keyword. It's just no one's going here to buy anything, okay? Now, alternatively, we're adding in this word print, map print of Maryland, right? Keep in mind, right, we mentioned buying intent keywords. This phrase does not use the word buy. All right, what do we see different here? We have these sponsored shopping ads. We have Google search ads. We have this image pack again with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of these 15 images. I may have miscounted there. There's 5, 10, 14 images. Have the product tag, meaning someone is trying to sell something on this search term, and Google agrees that people want to buy stuff. Now we're going down to the organic search results for website listings: Etsy, art.com, amazon.com. All posters is cut off down there. These are all e-commerce retailers that are trying to sell map prints of Maryland, right? So you can see the difference, right? This is clearly a term that has buying intent, even though it does not use the word buy. These are the keywords we are looking for, and that you want to look for when you're trying to rank higher on Google and get more revenue and traffic to your business. All right, so a big question that I want to throw out there too is, should you only target buying intent keywords? That's a big fat no for me, right? You probably noticed that when we discussed the investigative and comparison searches earlier, when we were reviewing the different types of searches, those types of searches also seemed like buying intent searches too. And that's because they are a part of the search journey. It's not a stretch of the imagination to, see where someone would type in an investigative or comparison search, and within that same session of searching, go ahead and buy a product. That happens all the time, right? The difference is that the intent is not 100% to buy, right? So it's on the way to buying as opposed to being 100% buying intent. Additionally, right, informational searches, which I left out of that previous comment, though that content is also worth producing, okay? You're going to introduce new customers to your brand through that informational content. And while it's less likely people will buy right away, there's a good chance they might sign up for your newsletter or consider your brand at a later date when they are looking to buy a product in your niche or just whatever you sell, right? So how we optimize this site for this client that got these results for these buying intent keywords. So let's walk through that. And I mentioned here, we did not create a blog post for where to buy X, right? That's not what we did, because that's not what you want to do. What we did though is the following: we updated the meta titles and descriptions on the appropriate collection and product pages, right, for buying intent keywords, right? We aligned those keywords appropriately, and most of the time, even when you're targeting these where to buy keywords, you're not going to write where to buy whatever in your meta title or your product page. They're going to take a different approach to that, which you'll learn how to do that through just kind of trial and error and having experience in doing so and getting pages to rank. We also, in addition to optimizing those aspects of those pages, we created content to support those buying intent optimized pages. And these pieces of content showcase the client's knowledge and expertise on their product and niche. Super important to have that type of content that supports those pages. Google wants to see your industry, what you're talking about, that there's content on your site that relates to what you're selling. We also built backlinks that helped create niche-specific authority for those keywords and the site at large, right? So it helped the site rank higher, helped Google understand that other sites understood that this site sells these things and they're trusted to sell those things. We also internally linked new content pages, right? So our new pieces of blog post content, whatever else we had, we linked those up with our optimized collection and product pages using an appropriate internal linking strategy with the right anchor text to the right pages. And that helped elevate the keywords we were looking to increase in ranking. And by getting those buying intent keywords to rank higher on these optimized pages, we were able to get these results, right? We were able to get more people to the site in general, but more people, more importantly, that wanted to purchase something. So, pretty much, having these collection pages and product pages properly optimized, right? And then repeating steps 2 through 4, right? So we optimize the pages we need to optimize, address the technical stuff we mentioned earlier. And then pretty much every month we're creating that new content. We're building backlinks. We're internally linking the new content. We're making sure we're staying on top of other on-page items, testing new on-page items, etc. We're just repeating that process every month to help bring in that new traffic with that buying intent. So if you own a direct-to-consumer brand that wants to add at least $30K per month or more in revenue without spending money on ads, go ahead and click the link right here, book a call. Feel free to check out this testimonial as well below. But we'd love to chat with you and see where we can take your brand. The sky's the limit. The more you invest in SEO, the less reliant you are going to be on other marketing channels. And on top of that, to add in, your other marketing channels are also going to benefit from SEO, right? If you do email marketing, that organic SEO traffic, you're going to have more people sign up for your email list. If you do paid ads, you're going to have more people to retarget from your organic efforts as well, right? So all of this stuff can work in conjunction with your current marketing efforts. But as you can see, you can get exponential growth with your SEO efforts. So if that's you, if that's where you want to be in 6 months, 12 months, if you have some competitors you need to knock out and get ahead of, let's chat. Hope you found this helpful. My name again is Noah Kane of Noah Kane Consulting. Wish you the best, and hopefully we will talk soon.